Recording started. Red dot confirmed.
All the best, and I hope you rock it.
Hello and welcome to the Doctoral Dialogues. We have been talking to different people from different fields and who worked or studied in different parts of the world. Today we have a very special guest with us. He knows classical music. He is a photography enthusiast. He's a thought leader. Welcome to the channel, NP. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Ankush. Pleasure being here. I'm doing very well. Hope you are doing well as well. And I'm really glad that you have started this venture of yours, which is definitely going to be beneficial for a lot of people, students, working professionals, and people who are on the verge of making crucial decisions in their life. So, all the best, and I hope you rock it.
Yep. So let's start with a very simple question, like why USA? To give our audience some background, you did your masters from USA. You did your bachelor's first in aerospace engineering, and then to the masters. So take us through that journey as to how you came up with this decision to go to US, and what was it that triggered you to take this decision.
So I'll be very honest with you. Going back probably close to 10 years now, uh, the path to USA was not something that was very thought full by me. It was mostly like most of my cousins, my brothers and sisters in the family. They had this like a flow chart where they finish their engineering, they work for a year or two, and then they go to US for their masters. So it was pretty much kind of that level of exposure that I had, that I had to do my masters in order for me to kind of gain an experience besides what I learned in my engineering and my project trainee with ISRO. And the reason why I probably chose US back in the day was mostly understanding how the opportunity existed. Though I was not very clear about the landscape overall, I was confident that anything that I do which adds skills to myself and I can land up in a job. I think the probability of landing into a job was higher in US than any other part of the world. So that's how it was actually decided. If you see now, it would have been a completely different approach. But yeah, it was mostly like following an algorithm that was set by somebody else uh, that happened.
So was it the first country that you visited, foreign country?
Yes, yes. So back in 2016, I flew down for the first time internationally all by myself. Though I had some domestic flights here and there, it was a completely new experience altogether going to the US. Yep. So it was my first international journey.
Tell us more about it. Like your first travel to US, were you overwhelmed by the cultural difference there? I mean, you belong to a big city, Bangalore. You have that experience of having multiple cultures, multicultural societies, metropolitan cities. So, but going to US would have been a different experience, I guess. Tell us more about it.
Sure. So first of all, though I am from like a tier one city, and whatever you mentioned is true, I was kind of in a nutshell. I was in a very protective environment, always guided by my parents, and most of my decisions were discussed, and it was not really instantaneous as such. But going to the US itself was a completely new experience. It was something out of my comfort zone. I never really anticipated any of the things that happened there. Maybe finding a room, to finding what subjects I should be taking in which semester, how do I do my specialization. Everything was overwhelming. The reason maybe because I did not follow the regular paths that a lot of people follow, which they sign up with a consultancy where they train you for your GRE, they train you for your TOEFL, and they also kind of train you for your application processes, etc. I kind of knew what the way in which you are supposed to apply for universities, what all were the requirements for me to do so. So I did not get the ramp up that most of the people would have gotten, but definitely going all by myself, not having any friends. I did not even know a single person when I moved to the US. I found somebody on Facebook who kind of helped me to get a pickup from the airport and hosted me for dinner and gave me a temporary accommodation for like a week's time. So from going out from a completely comfortable, protected environment to a non-protected environment where you don't know a lot of things. The only thing I knew was I'm capable of adapting and I'm capable of doing it. That's the only thing that I had with me, and nothing besides that. So the experience can be extremely overwhelming when you have no anticipation of what you are getting into. In a way, I would say it's good. In a way, it's bad. The reason why I feel it's good is because you get to know yourself. What's your potential? How can you uh, kind of realize how strong you are, how you are capable of adapting to new settings, etc. And the reason why I feel it's not good is if somebody is lighthearted, somebody is kind of emotionally attached to their family and they don't know what they're getting into, they may kind of have a little bit of bad time until they get accommodated and adjusted to the new environment.
So you mentioned you did this all by yourself, and honestly, I've been talking to different people, and it's not that easy. Uh, Applying to universities. My feedback is you have to apply to each university or each course individually. You have to do some research. So take us through that process of application, like from GRE to letter of recommendations to statement of purpose.
So, I see a transition from the time where I was applying, or maybe my seniors were applying for masters in the US, to the existing scenario, because a lot of information that were not available back in the day is now available. What is required by your university in order for you to be considered as an applicant. So the reason why I did not choose any of these consultancies or somebody who kind of helped to do the application process is I knew what was required. So there were few basic things that you had to have good GRE score, which consists of quant and English, and you had to have a TOEFL or an IELTS score, and you had to have a letter of recommendation, which essentially means that somebody whom you are working under or studying under, who kind of knows you on a personal level about your skills, about your aptitude, etc., writes a letter saying that these are some of the traits that I have observed in this person, and the reason why he or she feels that you're qualified for a master degree at that particular university. The second thing that comes in is a statement of purpose, which is your statement as a student as to what is that is motivating for you to do a master degree. It is kind of like a story to make the accepting authority to understand whether you're truly motivated, whether you have a clear path and vision that you want to achieve through this program, or it's something that you are kind of doing it for the sake of doing it. So, a statement of purpose, a letter of recommendation. You have to fill up an application form and you have to pay a fee of I don't know, $50 to $150, varying from university to university. You have to choose the course. You're supposed to also have a transcript of all the semesters that you have completed. For example, I applied when I was when I completed my sixth semester of engineering, which means that there was one more year of course that was supposed to be completed in my engineering, whereas many of them do it after they complete their engineering. So you have a transcript which is a 1 marks card which has results of all these semesters together in like one sheet. Besides this, in your SOP, you have to kind of it's like a match. Like there is a university offering a certain course with certain specialization, and there is some interest that you are trying to pursue, and how is that your interest and the course that is offered by the university is kind of matching, and how is that you're probably going to do something out of collaborating together. So these are some of the things that needs to be addressed, and everything else is the same. They kind of take in your application and they wait for a couple of days and they review it, and once they review it, they either tell you that you're admitted or you're not admitted. Once you're admitted, you're supposed to provide them with something called as financial proof, which essentially means that you're capable of funding your education in that university. You have to probably show like a bank balance of 2 years of fees put together, and uh, and that gives them an understanding that okay, he is qualified from an education point of view and merit point of view, and he's qualified from a financial point of view, and they give you something called as an I-20. So the I-20 is a document which necessarily is required for you to get your visa, which essentially says that this person has been admitted in this university for this course. This is when he will be starting. We have checked his finances. He is financially capable, so please issue him a visa. So it's a document that the university provides you, and based on which university you decide to go and pursue.
Okay. Okay. So you talked about I-20 form and the money. Money is a big factor. It's a big decision, not just for the candidate or the student, but as a family. It's a pretty big decision, having that amount of money in your bank. And while you are in the US university, the fees and everything is not a small challenge. It's a pretty big thing to consider while going or while moving. So talk us through what are the options that you have. Like for example, say a certain student has a good GRE score, he wishes to go, he or she, but doesn't have enough money. So I heard there are some scholarships, there are some other options like student loans and even some campus jobs that could help through this.
Sure. So essentially, as far as I know, you have to show your bank balance irrespective of how you do it. Like you mentioned, you can take an education loan, you can borrow money from somebody and ask somebody to fund you for your course and all of that. But once you apply and you get an admit, you're right. We have options for getting scholarships. We have options for getting on-campus jobs and all of those kind of direct or indirect funding that can help you through your coursework. So definitely, it's a very critical decision that anybody makes, irrespective of how well off somebody is, because to be honest with you, I had to take an education loan, and I took during 2016, and I'm still repaying it. So it's a long term decision that you have to do along with your family. Definitely, there are options for scholarships and on-campus jobs and all of these options that most of us know. But the point to be considered is how is the probability of you getting that, given that the number of people who are going abroad right now. I keep joking that every house in any road will have one person out of India right now. So that's how populated the foreign countries are. Not just US, but any other country you see. So what I did was I prepared myself for the worst case scenario, and I clearly had an understanding of how much I will be spending in order to complete the course, and based on that, I kind of took the shot. But otherwise, I am very well aware that there are a lot of scholarships that they award based on your academic performance, based on who you are, if you have some papers that you've published, if you have some patents, etc. They are going to fund you for that. So
Yeah, well, so you were talking about many Indians going outside, and yeah, true that in different parts of the world we have Indian community. How's the uh, you know Indian community, US based Indian community? Uh, did you find some friends there? How did you socialize?
Indian community in US right now is pretty big. It's bigger than a lot of people actually imagine. When I moved in to New Jersey for my masters, where I did my masters from, I had close to around 10-15 people who were from Karnataka itself. So you can just imagine how big the population is. And I moved to three different places for my work after that. And most part of the US does have an Indian community. And most of them are very helpful, especially when you're going in as a student or when you're relocating from one city to another city or one state to another state. You'll be able to find people who will be able to assist you with your housing, with anything that you want for your smooth move. That's definitely there, given the size of population that is. And moving forward, when I started working in Virginia, you'll be surprised to hear this, but we had a cricket tournament which had close to 16 teams. So you can just imagine, and most of the people were of the age of 21 to
So cricket
35,
is
40.
coming big time to USA, I guess. This last
Right,
T20 World Cup was in, at least
right,
half
right, right. So
part of it was in US.
right. So we had cricket tournaments, we had festivals. So usually they form something called as Indian Association. For example, every city or every state will have an Indian Association where you can become a member, and they're going to celebrate all the Indian festivals, and they're going to help you with most of the things that you require when you need any sort of assistance. Like move, or you need some networking help, or you need some guidance on anything. You can kind of approach. People are very approachable, most of them. As I mentioned, the population is so high that if you are in cities like Washington, New York, New Jersey, California, uh, uh, you will not feel that you are in a different place altogether, except for the structures that are out there and the infrastructure that you live in. You find Indians everywhere. So that's how Indianized, you can say, US is.
So I know you are a travel enthusiast. Tell us about your travel in US. What places did you explore?
Initially, I was very hesitant to go out because a lot of cash was burning out every time I went out. So I used to do my clothes washing, like once for all, so that I can put everything once and get all of them washed. So I used to wait for like a week or 10 days before I did washing and drying. So that was kind of the mindset that I had. But eventually, after I started earning and just before I kind of completed my course, I had good friends who were already earning, and they kind of took me around to places. I've been fortunate enough to visit about 21 states out of the 50 in the US, uh, spanning East Coast and West Coast. And of course, I've been to Hollywood, I've been to LA a couple of times, and the New York, and all of the belts that are famously known for its you know the beauty and the commercial value that they have, etc. So I did get a chance, but when you're a student, the mindset that you have on spending for travel probably will change. I mean, that's my experience. I have seen people who do Bahamas or who do various other luxurious trips even when they are students. So it depends, but for me, I have definitely enjoyed the landscape. One of the things that I keep telling a lot of people is the reason why we Indians find a Western country extremely beautiful is because of the population that we see. The places are extremely low populated. They don't have a lot of people everywhere, so it's kept clean, and the rules are very strict. For you to do any sort of littering, you'll be fined hefty. And that's how the the setup is, a lot of people think that, oh, okay, I think if I want to see something beautiful in nature, I have to travel to US or some other part of the world, but definitely not. I feel it's more to do with uh, who you are as an individual.
It's true that because of less population there, maybe the tourist places look more. Uh, I
Yes.
don't know, but do they look lively? Are they lively happening like in
So,
India?
so it depends on what kind of places you go. So I think you know me. I'm a nature lover. I just want to be in beach or a mountain. I usually did a lot of hiking wherever I was, and those places are very, very well kept. There is no entry fee or anything of that sort that you have to pay for most of the hikes, except that if you want to enter a national park and you want to do a hike inside the national park, you may probably have to pay an entry fee. They are very well kept, lively. You will not have a lot of people doing anything there. You will find campers at some of the trails, but the land is so huge that you don't find any of these places to be overpopulated. At least the places where I have been in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, the southeast belt pretty much is less populated and very clean. And the happening usually is in the city where you find a lot of people doing a lot of different things. But in nature, you don't see a lot of lively stuff happening, and everybody is very respectful. One of the things I miss during my hikes is the silence that I used to embrace and enjoy back in the US. Nobody turns on their phone and puts a high volume and listens to some stupid song amidst the nature when you have chirping of birds, insects, etc., that you can enjoy. Here, unfortunately, in India, you have people who kind of don't care a lot about what others feel. So that is something that is there in terms of the nature values. But yeah, overall, like I mentioned, the things that you can do in nature is very big because of the size of the landscape. You can do camping, you can do kayaking, you can do river crossing, you can do various things. You can go boating, you can do any activity that you want to, as long as you're earning. As long as you're earning, you are good to go.
Also, give us a sense of the city life there. I remember I mean, we used to have long chats about Bangalore traffic and compare it to the city traffic there in the
Mhm.
USA. Give us a sense of overall city life. How is it in the USA?
City life, pretty much the same, where you have a lot of people, but like I mentioned before, the rules are very strict, and people are forced to be disciplined. So by that, what I mean is, in India, if somebody asks you to go in a lane and you go in a lane, you may probably be honked at and whatnot. But there you are forced to follow. Otherwise, you are fined heavily. I mean, of course, there are people who do not follow rules out there as well, and they face the consequences. The city life, in terms of commute, I used to travel about 40 miles one way from the place where I lived versus the place where I worked. So I used to take only 40 minutes for the 40-mile travel. Today I travel 16 kilometers, but I take about an hour. So in terms of lane discipline, in terms of how they follow signal rules, more than anything, I think the difference that I see is because of the two-wheelers. In the US, the population of two-wheelers is pretty low, and a lot of people travel in cars or in cities, especially, they travel in cars or they use public transport such as rail or buses. But in terms of the lifestyle, it's pretty similar to any other tier one city. In Bangalore, you have really good, eateries. You have nice places to see, monuments, etc. The lifestyle is pretty similar, except for the fact that you kind of feel that you're living in a more structured environment than a chaotic environment. So, for example, you know that you want to get your driver's license, you just do 1, 2, 3 step, and you're kind of going to get your driver's license. So, it's pretty kind of structured. A lot of people, like this part of the West where everything is very well structured. They need not. Bribe anybody or anything of that sort. So that's there.
That's a very good representation, feel good representation of the USA. But tell us more about the mundane part. How does an average American look at India? Do they know about India? Do they talk about India? Because lately on social media, people have started talking about India. In all the circles, I would say. Um, they have started creating content for YouTube. I can definitely say that creators from USA have started creating content specifically for India. So they have started talking about it. How is it on the ground?
So I have had a good amount of experience in terms of the transition that happened from 2014 to 2020. So when I started working in industrial engineering and construction in 2018, I used to we used to build industrial process plans for various clients, and we have something called a scope of work document where you read about what is that the client actually wants to do, and there are some bill of materials, etc., that gets generated to achieve whatever the client wants. And we used to have a very strict note that no components from India and China are accepted in this plant. So when you are bidding a job, when you are proposing that, hey, I understand that there is this thing that you want to do, and we are capable of doing it. This is how much it's going to cost for the material. This is how much we are going to charge for the labor. This is the amount of time that we require. Uh, we were very clearly stated that you cannot import anything from India or made in India and made in China. Whereas now it has changed. You don't have a restriction on made in India because of the quality that India is providing. This is from an work point of view that I have changed. I have seen a shift, but of course, because of the population of Indians in America and most part of America, and the kind of positions that they hold. A lot of people know about India, and of course, after BJP took over India, and the way in which the country is driven with very clear purpose, and we are able to cross certain checkpoints that nobody ever imagined. I think now we have kind of become an attraction point for a lot of the Westerners, and of course, America is no different from that. So a lot of people do know about Indians. They know about the best thing they know about is the Indian food. They have Indian restaurants. Any part of America you go, you find an Indian restaurant. Whether it's run by an Indian or not is a secondary question. But you do find Indian cuisine. They really like Indian food, and one of the things that I really like about Indians is the ability of us to kind of adapt to multiple roles and very easily shift from one role to another, and in an efficient manner. So, for example, let's say there is a guy who is doing 3D drawings and conversion of 3D drawings to 2D drawings, or 3D models to 2D models. An average American probably would have done 15, 16 years of the same job, and if you ask him to change the role that you're looking for, he wouldn't do it. But whereas an Indian does it without any hesitation. So these are some of the traits that I feel they really like about Indians, and that's why we are given so much of opportunities in India. I mean, in US. So the world is definitely now seeing India in a different way, and in a positive way, and which is very good for not just for the existing people, but definitely for the next generation of people who are coming up for moving from their student phase to work phase.
Yeah. So you've been very candid about even politics, I guess. So let me ask you a question about that. Is it the same? Do you find some similarities, like the two-party system that you have over there in US? Kind of feels different. but the politics still remains bound in conservative and liberal, points of views. So tell us something about that.
So, I think I'm a political enthusiast, irrespective of which country I travel. I kind of try to strike conversations with localites to understand their emotions about how their country is being run, and what is that they like and dislike about the government, etc. The places where I have lived have been both democratic ruled and Republican ruled. I think that's each state will have, uh, like a senate, and they have their own kind of governors who come from various parties. They have a local election, then they have an election for the entire country. Of course, the election system is not much different from India. So, in terms of ideology, you are spot on. I think it's liberals versus conservatives. The value systems that they follow, and what is that they actually want for their lives is what is different is different. And there have been few extremists whom I have met who literally hate the other the party and the people who support the other party, whereas most of them are kind of respective about who they are willing to vote, etc. But there is a huge drift that I have seen over the years because of various reasons. There are various. So in India, if you see, elections happen at different regional levels. When I mean regional levels, is there are certain agenda items that each party goes to an election with. Right? For example, in India, it is probably Hindutva, it's probably finance, it's probably infrastructure development, versus in US it's about you know marriage rights, abortion rights, immigration policies, etc. So, what has happened over time in the US is a lot of illegal immigration has happened, and the dynamics inside the US has changed quite a lot. It's I have a lot of very close friends who are even living in the US, who are citizens, who are green card holders, who are on work visa, etc. And most of the time I talk to them, most of them are disappointed in the trend in which things are changing. So right now I see.
So just a sub question there. I mean, this whole American dream is about people from different parts of the world coming together and building America. I guess uh, that's how the economy there booms. But what you are talking about is the distinction between legally migrated people and illegal immigrants, right?
That's right. That's right. So I think going back to our previous discussion, I told you that there is a process. If you want to go into the US as a student, you have to have an admit from a university. In order for you to have an admit, you have to prove that you're smart enough, you have financial capability, and all of these are kind of steps that you take in order to legally immigrate to the US. Whereas what is happening right now is pretty well known to a lot of people. Illegal immigration, where people are brought across the border, they are given free food, they are given uh, fund and whatnot, just for the sake of votes. I think we had a similar situation with Bangladesh, a couple of months back, and we had to fight back for that. So similarly, of course, US is the American dream is definitely there, but I have already seen the decline in that. I have close to about 10 people who were well placed in big companies, big roles, who have come back to India and who have started their career in India back again because of various reasons, like socioeconomic. Safety, for example, is a huge concern right now in the US. You probably hear every week you hear somebody being killed with a gunshot. And recently, President Trump was attacked twice, not once,
Yeah. So
breaching
talk
the
us,
security.
yeah, tell us more from the Indians' perspective. This particular point. I guess you were not in the US when this started happening. Were you there? That the attacks on some Indian students happened, and so
So, no, I'll just give you a very sad incident. So that I landed in January of 2016, and New Jersey Institute of Technology is a pretty famous university, and a lot of people take this university for the courses that they offer, the reputation it has, and on all of that. But the first email that I got was somebody was on campus.
Really?
So it has been there from a very long time. Targeted Indian is something that I don't really believe in, because unless there is some sort of involvement of somebody in illegal activities such as drugs or something illegal, something that's not normal, only then maybe you are kind of targeted. Given the point that they have easy gun access, uh, that's a risk that is associated. But there is definitely a huge risk when you see in terms of whether you can be shot or not. So that's definitely there.
Wow, wow. So how's the situation on ground in Indian community? Do you see, or did you see any sort of apprehension about all this? What was there, some concern over this?
How do you not get into trouble? It's just stay away from the trouble. So what usually happens is there are certain areas which are known for high crime rates, and in my university, I was advised not to take, not to walk by myself after a certain point in time, and it's um, certain areas. And when I started working, I moved to a place called as Waynesboro, which is a very suburb of South Virginia, and my company CEO had told me that I don't really think you should be hanging out by yourself after say 9 p.m. outside of your apartment. So I was probably 24, 25 back then, but even then I was warned. So which essentially means that the threat or the safety factor that is the given safety factor is not great. You are always under the radar. You're always in kind of a situation where you feel unsafe at certain places. That's definitely there. Nobody can deny that. And at the same time, there are places which you can completely avoid going into and be safe. So definitely, Indian community does help you. They kind of guide you. They tell you what you need to do, what you are not supposed to do, and all of those aspects as well. But majority, it's mostly to do with every uh, part of the city which is seen for the crime rate that exists there.
And I guess you have seen the COVID period in America. So,
Right.
on top of whatever regular challenges that a normal student would face during application and staying there, on top of that, these were some extra challenges that the entire world faced, and being in a foreign country, it must have been difficult. So, talk us through that time. How was it?
So, from a student perspective, I feel it was very unfortunate for anybody and everybody who came in during the COVID time, because the whole purpose of moving into a different country for education is to kind of understand the culture, the education system, the networking that you get. You meet people, you understand different approaches of thought processes. When you are put into online courses, when you're not meeting people physically, you don't even know what kind of people they are, because you only meet during your coursework or the classwork, and pretty much that's about it. You don't really engage into conversations which is going to teach you about any sort of cultural matters, any opinions, how are they, how do they think, what's their thought process, none of these things. So a lot of people whom I know who came during COVID probably never really enjoyed the on-campus experience that I experienced. You get access to most of the high-end, machines that you keep reading on a theoretical standpoint, and all of a sudden you have access to 3D, one of the best 3D printers out there. You have a universal testing machine. You can start doing experiments any day you want to. So those sort of limitations were there. And in terms of work, the entire workforce shifted from an in-person to an online work from home situation. Fortunately, The company I was working for back then had enough proofs that I had to be working from office. So I did not face a lot of challenges as such. I was never really bored or depressed or anything about COVID. I had to stay home only for 1 day, and the very following week I was able to travel back to work and work normally. Definitely, there are huge differences when you have restrictions in terms of how you pursue your masters. Many people don't even get to know a professor's uh, ability if they meet them online. Forget a professor. I think even if you have a classmate who is taking the same course and you want to talk about some project that he is doing or she is doing, you don't. If you don't meet them, I don't see it would be as effective as even if you meet them online and discuss over time and whatnot. So the challenges faced during COVID, luckily for me, it was not that bad. I lived by myself. I had enough grocery and essentials for running myself for every month, and I used to continue the same. So for me, it was not much of a difference. But I know a lot of people, both students and people who are working, who had that transition. Most of them were depressed because they couldn't go out and they had restrictions. But yeah, it's a different experience altogether. Pretty similar to you doing an online what do you call a distance program. You're just in that city, and unfortunately, you're not capable of using all the infrastructure. Because if you see, the main purpose of you going and choosing a certain university is just for the infrastructure and the people. Uh, the coursework at the end of the day is irrespective of whether it's offered by one university and the other university. It's not the subject alone. It's the infrastructure, it's the people, it's the network that you can build, which happens only when you're physically in the same premises.
Well, NP, thank you for that candid conversation. You shared a lot of your experiences, and I hope this will help our audience a lot.
Sure.
So, thank you for joining us again.
Pleasure is mine, Ankush. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. I mean, I usually uh, uh, enjoy talking to people. I think you know me from a long time. I kind of get into conversations which help me understand from various perspectives how somebody sees anything in their life. So this was a good opportunity for me to kind of bring out some of my experiences, which probably will help somebody in any decision that they make or anything they seek as a guidance.
So, friends, that was Narasimha for you. I hope this episode helped you a lot in different things. We talked about USA. In further parts of this podcast, we are going to talk about different parts of the world and to different people working in different industries, different areas. So, stay tuned for further episodes. Thank you.